No matter how the game goes, no matter how the cookie crumbles, the handshake line is supposed to remind you that it ends there. That's the point. That is the point of the handshake line. What a remarkable delusion by Patrick Ewing. NHL teams engage in the most physical, intense, urgent, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching sports action that we have. A Stanley Cup playoff series, a highly energized, highly competitive NHL playoff series that goes 7 games, is the most intense, violent, urgent, crazy, emotional, compacted series of sports action that we have. It's far more violent and combative and personal than basketball. We only have 1 game in football. Baseball's not that intense and personal because you're not physically getting pounded and grinded and taking pucks to the face and pucks to the kneecaps. It's not that physically toiling. Those 7-game hockey series where guys get bloody noses and pucks to the head and smashed into the boards and leave their guts out there for 7 nights. There is nothing as intense as that. And 20 years ago, when it's that next level of hatred, when it's Red Wings Avs or it's Rangers Flyers, I mean, that there's nothing as angry and intense for those 7 games. And the fans are on you and they're smacking on that glass and they're yelling and they're cursing and the media's all over you and there's nothing as intense. Canadians, Bruins, there's nothing as intense as that. At the end of every one of those playoff series, they drop their gloves, they look at one another, they shake hands, and they go their separate ways. Because the reminder is, no matter what happened during those 7 games, no matter what happened between the lines, no matter what happened on the ice, a ref's call, this dirty play, this shot, this bounce of the puck, the reminder is that's just the game and that human ethics need to remind us to snap back out of it. You can pour everything you have. Your life is changed based on whether you win or lose that series. Permanently altered. But you must be reminded in that handshake line that humanity, sportsmanship, respect must take the higher place. No matter what transpired, you are reminded that humanity is what must prevail. And Patrick Ewing, along with anybody else who espouses this absolutely idiotic, moronic theory, is just missing the whole point of this. It's not that we shouldn't have the handshake line because something could happen in it. It's that we have the handshake line so that nothing happens beyond what the game is, to remind us that it can't happen after the game. The handshake line is basically the reminder, you might hate that dude, but you can't run to that locker room and punch that dude. You might hate that guy. You might hate that coach, but you cannot run into that guy in the parking lot and wait outside the bus and want to fight that guy. That the handshake is the reminder that the game is the game and then humanity prevails. And this is why Izzo went crazy the other day. Because Izzo's not a perfect person, but Izzo understands what the cause is, or what the reason is, rather, for the handshake line. If you remove that, It's like somebody that smokes a pack of cigarettes a day saying, I got lung cancer, just cut the lung out. I'm going to keep smoking. No, the point is we have this there to remind us that you can't carry it over. You can't use the handshake line to swing a punch. You can't use the handshake line to trash talk. That's where that has to end. You have to reprioritize the moment the buzzer goes off. And I'm not saying that's always easy. I'm not saying that. But the idea that you eliminate the handshake line because guys might be angry, because something might happen, no, that's where the coach says the handshake line is where nothing happens and keeps hammering that home. And the coach, which is why Juwan Howard is ultimately purely in the wrong, no matter if Greg Gard called the timeout or not, no matter if Greg Gard grabbed him or not, and Greg Gard is guilty of both of those things. Gard shouldn't have grabbed Juwan Howard to the handshake line to, quote, explain what he was doing. And Juwan Howard absolutely cannot throw a punch or an open-handed smack or whatever during the handshake line either. Is because that's the first reminder. Everything that just happened is done. And you need to rise above the competitiveness. Not easy, but this is the challenge of being an athlete. This is the challenge of doing what you do. And you must rise to the challenge. I mean, Ewing's rationale there, I'm like, I can't even believe this is how you view this. You're the coach of college kids. Look, if you want to say in the NBA, we haven't ever done it. These guys are grown adults. We're not teaching lessons there. Okay. I mean, that's one thing. I would say that's kind of silly because when Tom Brady loses to a quarterback and doesn't shake his hand at midfield, we kill him over it too. What, you can't shake Jared Goff's hand? You can't shake Mitch Trubisky's hand? What is that? So we do this to our upper echelon pro athletes as well. But if we're eliminating this from the college kids because we don't trust them or the college coaches, my God.